So you're studying history, or maybe thinking about studying history, and you realize actually, I don't like it that much. It's not a subject you desperately wanted to take, or maybe it's just something that was left over on the blocks, and you had to take something from that section, depending on how your school works. I just wanted to make a video just to let you know that you don't actually have to like history or another subject in order to succeed. So this video is mainly going to look at, you know, if you don't like the subject, how you're going to succeed and how you can do some things to make that experience a bit more enjoyable, and actually how you can quite easily bump up your marks here more than you might have done in another subject that was in that block, or in those choices that you did have. So essentially what we're going to do here is look at what you do need in order to get a great mark in your history exams. So you might think it's a bit of a weird statement to say that you don't need to like history in order to succeed, but I suppose it depends on how you think about your goals or the things that you're trying to achieve. The simple question is, like, why would anyone take a subject they don't like? I mentioned a second ago that you might take a subject because it was the best of a bad bunch in a block that was left over. It might just be something that you prefer the teacher that teaches it. You might know something about stuff that's happened before, the sorts of topics that are likely to come up, but you don't maybe like, say, writing essays, or you're not sure exactly that it's the best thing for you, or the exact course you might, or topic you might want to take to get you to uni, things like that. So let's have a look at that. It might be necessary to get onto a particular course at uni. For example, if you're going to do history at uni, you're doing this, and I imagine this probably isn't the video. You're probably not watching this video anyway. But actually, doing well in history, it's still a core subject. Getting a really good mark here is going to look just as good as another. I suppose we could call it like a softer skill course that you might take at A level or even GCSE. So that could be the same to getting into sixth form as well. You'd rather do a course that is that you can do well in to get there, rather than just one that sounds a bit nicer that you might struggle in. So, like I said, it might be the best of a bad bunch in terms of what you're being offered. And it could actually be a subject that, in the long run, turns out to be much easier than another one. In order to score well, you might be more suited to it. And the way I would look at it is this: why would you waste 2 years in biology trying to get a B when your brain isn't naturally scientific? Maybe you've had that conversation with yourself, and maybe biology sounds nice, but actually it feels really difficult. When instead you could spend that time studying history because you have a logical brain, and actually gaining a number of transferable skills, which are, I can tell you, highly employable, would be more beneficial and more enjoyable on that journey. So what skills do you need to succeed in history? A few. They can be honed, but there's not that many. To succeed in history, the core skills you need are essay writing skills, reading, research, and to some extent connecting dots. They can all be broken down, so we'll look at those as well. But that's four easy skills there that we can look at, and by looking at them more in depth, are going to make your time studying history a bit more enjoyable, and help you understand what it is that, what these skills are that get you the marks, as opposed to just writing something and hoping. So in essay writing skills, we break that down to be analysis, judgment, giving clear answers. So the key fundamental there is actually just answering the question you're asked. You wouldn't believe how difficult that seems to come across to people, but actually answering the question you're asked at the end of an essay is really, really important. It helps get you so many more marks than you could imagine. Research skills, fundamental to understanding the course you're taking. Again, we'll look at that in a minute. Reading, that just, understanding English is essentially all that means. Being able to read, and just like the next bit says, connecting the dots and just understanding what it is that you're reading. Goes hand in hand with research as well. So what do they mean? In terms of essay writing, history is a topic that, where you need to answer questions through considering different factors. A lot of the times that's weighing them up against each other, so that you have a balanced judgment at the end of it. It means that you have to provide detail, but also make sure you come to an actual judgment at the end of that essay, but have that theme going through it, which we'll talk about in other videos on this channel. And that basically leads us to the key point of just answer the question. In pretty much any video where I talk about essays, this will be flagged up throughout it. It doesn't matter how well you write. If you're not going to answer the question, or if you don't answer the question, really make that clear that you've done that, you're going to score much or many fewer marks than you need to. There's no point writing a 3-page essay if you don't end up answering the question. But also, if you don't make it clear what you think throughout, there's no point just putting an answer at the end of it. And again, we'll talk about those skills in different videos, but this is just more of an introduction to why you might take this course or think about studying history. So research. I imagine if you've thought about taking history at some point, you've thought about how much reading might be involved in that. Research is a skill in itself. So one of the things you really have to think about when it's reading, and not to get daunted by it, is that if you have a purpose when you go into it, it's much, much easier. So you need to know what it is you want to get out of the work. Things like reading lists, or if you hear people or you see things where teachers are giving you massive long lists of things just for each topic, where there might be 20 plus books on that suggested reading list. You're not expected to read all of them. It just gives you the opportunity to know that these are texts that work well with that topic. But the main thing is that the teacher and the examiners want to see different things from everyone. They don't want to read the same essay regurgitated however many hundreds of times they have to mark it. So if you think about it like that, you're expected to read around the topic, get a good understanding of it. But even then, when you look at these, you pick up 1 or 2 of these books in that suggested reading list, you're still only really, looking to read maximum probably a chapter at a time in those things that are specific to what you're trying to get out of them for the essay or the answer that you're trying to produce. So don't think of it as reading a whole 300 plus page book each time in order to understand everything that's going on in that topic. For the question you're going to be answering, it's going to be small sections of that book that you need to look at. But just remember that, and that it can be really a lot more manageable than it looks sometimes. And the key, essentially, to good research, and therefore also a good essay, is to make sure you're being specific and concise at the same time. So make sure you're really to the point with what you're saying. Don't waffle on 2-3 sentences where one or a few words would do. And in that sense, also just make it really clear and use more signposting to make it clear to the people that are reading your essay that you've done the research, or that you know these facts, and if possible, where they came from. We'll go through things like signposting in different videos on this channel as well. But essentially what we're looking for here is to look at relevant chapters and sections of books rather than reading the whole thing. And if you think about it like that, it should hopefully make the whole idea of studying history a little bit more palatable. Connecting dots, really, really important skill to learn. So most courses, most things in later life will require you to analyse something at some point. Most history courses, and pretty much every history course, will expect you to analyse a source at some point in an exam, or at some point throughout the time you're studying it. So through the research that you do, both in your lessons, through your textbooks and the wider reading, to get an understanding of the topic, you'll have the knowledge you need to connect the dots between what is available on the page and what isn't. So all you have to do there is practice looking for it. And that's where another one of the key things I'll always flag up in videos where I'm talking about this comes in, is to make sure you practice by doing. There's so many past exam papers out there that you can find, so many examples of sources and things like that. You don't even have to just look at the ones that are on the course that you're studying. Getting used to reading sources doesn't matter where they come from or for what, for whether it's a topic you're specifically studying. Getting a good look at them so you understand what it is you're looking for, and the main skills that you'll need to implement there is really important. And I already have another video on this channel looking at that. When you're looking at how to answer source-based questions, it should be over there in the videos and the playlists under exam help. By all means, go and take a look at that. Flick through it, see, get the bits that are important to you there. All those skills are mentioned. I can't say that liking a subject wouldn't help you achieve this. All I'm saying is you don't have to like the subject to succeed if you can find the bits that you need to do and actually have the goal of succeeding and improving your skills. That can be a bit more entertaining, a bit more fun as you go through things. However, as you'll find with pretty much anything in life, if you have a natural motivation or natural interest in things, it will give you the energy to do something. So um, if there's any part of you that has an interest in history, that will make things a lot easier. But actually, even if you don't like the idea of history in general, just the term just doesn't strike a chord with you when you think about history, maybe there's some particular part of it that you can think of that you'd enjoy. Whether you actually like writing essays, whether you enjoy doing research and improving knowledge, whether it is building on skills. Like I said before, history is a great subject to build those what we'd call softer skills and transferable skills. Good reading, good writing, good analysis, and also good judgment are really, really important in later life. Whatever you choose to do, those are really good skills, and they'll help you move across multiple industries if needed. And they're skills that last recessions as well. So just make sure that I'm not telling you to do history, but just remember that softer skills help you be a bit more flexible sometimes than sort of drilling down on a particular industry or particular job. So the one thing you'll have to get used to, and we can't avoid this, is writing. So where I said before, practicing and sort of practice by doing is really important, that you sort of consider that you might have to answer questions in an essay style. And just from the get-go, just get used to maybe writing an essay a week to start with, or even planning an essay a week. So you're thinking about how you might want to answer the questions, maybe where some of those things need to improve in the future. And it gives you a lot more time, gives you a longer run up to that, and it gets you more used to pen in hand writing your answers. You might think, well, do I have to enjoy writing to do history? And the really easy short answer is no, you don't have to enjoy doing writing at all. But actually, the long answer is, and probably the answer I should be giving you there is that you are going to have to learn to write well in order to score higher in marks. So writing in history is a different practice and a different skill to writing for English literature, for example, or English in general. The things and the way you need to write are a lot more different in terms of those skills. You have to be a little bit more precise with certain parts of those skills. So, even if you do enjoy writing, you're doing those sorts of subjects, you just remember that they are transferable. Having skills and being thoughtful in what it is that you are writing is important, but you still have to learn the different ways of implementing those skills. And again, videos on this channel for doing that. Happy to help with any questions in the comments as well. So on this slide, I just mentioned it a minute ago, and I said I'll always flag certain things up that are really important. The key to succeeding in history is to take a long run up. It's probably the same for most subjects, but I can speak from experience that in history, taking a long run up is really important. You can get a really good idea of all the different types of questions you might possibly be asked just through sitting in class. You can, the sorts of topics your teachers are talking about, the different things that are happening. Are you doing a depth study? Depends on how much you might drill into specific topics. But if you are sitting in class, you can think of the different questions you might have to answer. You can look at past exam papers. There's all the things you need there to take a long run up. And I guess the last thing to say is thank you for watching. If you have any questions about the points I've raised or anything you'd like to see in future videos, specifically around course content, do drop me a comment below. Also, keep an eye out for the new syllabus series coming out. We're starting with the Cold War. It's my favourite subject, the one I feel like I can offer the most help with in questions and in tutoring as well. It brings me on to the point of I am also a private tutor. So if you feel you might benefit from some form of tutoring or looking over documents or other things that you've done that you need or would like looking at, by all means, send me an email. I think the email address should be in the description. Alternatively, I have a website which will also be linked in the description. You can go take a look at the History School Online website there, and you can fill in your details, ask me the questions you want to ask, and we can sort of work out how we work around that. So thank you for watching, guys. Keep an eye out for new videos, and like I said, check out the other ones that are already available to help with the skills that were mentioned. Thank you very much.